Here's a number the CRA will never phone you about. A Canadian approved for the disability tax credit this year can often claim back up to 10 previous years, pushing a single family's refund past $14,000. Most people who qualify never ask, so the money just sits there. And the reason they don't ask is buried in how the credit is claimed, not in whether they deserve it. I read the fine print so you don't have to. Roughly 1 in 6 Canadians lives with some form of disability, and a huge share of eligible claimants never file the credit, leaving thousands each on the table. Today, I'll show you 3 moves. Apply with the right form, request reassessment for every eligible year, and check for debt offsets before you count the cash. The number everything hangs on is $10,138. The CRA's 2025 federal disability amount for adults 18 and older, CRA 2025. That's the base figure used to calculate the credit each year. But here's the part nobody tells you. That amount applies to every eligible year, and you can reach back across many of them at once. 3 moves, all done through the CRA and none needing a lawyer. Apply with the T2201 certificate. Request reassessment for every eligible prior year. Then check for any debt offset so you know your real refund. The first leak is simply never filing the credit at all. The CRA lets you claim the disability tax credit retroactively, but only if you submit the disability certificate and specifically ask for adjustments to your prior returns, CRA claiming the DTC. Nobody at the agency does this for you automatically. The entire system waits for you to raise your hand. And the cost of staying silent is real. Canadians who recover missed credits get about $2,900 on average. Yahoo Finance Survey 2024, and full DTC claims routinely run into the thousands per year. Do nothing and your recovered amount is exactly 0. The credit doesn't backdate itself just because you were always eligible. The second layer is more subtle. Even people who get approved often adjust only the current year. That leaves years of credit unclaimed after eligibility is already established, because the retroactive window can stretch back up to 10 previous years. St. Lawrence Lawyers, Swift Disability. Getting approved is only step 1. The Back-Pay lies in the years you still have to ask about. Here's how that compounds. If you're missing roughly $1,500 to $2,000 per year as an adult, stopping at 1 year leaves you with a small credit. But claiming the full window can turn that into about $15,000 to $20,000 over 10 years before provincial variation and family income effects. Disability Credit Canada, St. Lawrence Lawyers. Every year you don't amend is a year that quietly expires. The myth that stops people cold. If you were just approved, you can only claim from now. The fact is the CRA framework allows retroactive reassessment, and the refund can reach back up to 10 years if the disability existed then and the claim is properly adjusted. St. Lawrence Lawyers, CRA. Believing the myth is what leaves the biggest checks unclaimed. Put the 2 numbers side by side. The base amount is $10,138 for 2025, CRA 2025, and across a full 10-year lookback, the missed value can run $15,000 to $20,000 or more. Disability Credit Canada. 1 base figure, 10 years of credit. That's the gap almost nobody notices. Meet Maya, 46, a retail manager in Toronto earning $62,000 a year, with about 7 years left before retirement. She was only approved for the DTC this year after living with a long-term impairment, and her accountant hasn't yet revisited any of her prior returns. On paper, she thinks she's done. She isn't. Her first discovery: the credit reaches backward, not just forward. The DTC can be claimed retroactively for up to 10 years, not only from the approval date, St. Lawrence Lawyers. That single fact changes her outcome from a modest annual credit into a potential lump sum refund. Money for years she was eligible, but never claimed. Her second discovery is what that actually means in dollars. A typical adult DTC-related benefit runs about $1,500 to $2,000 per year, so Maya's 7 eligible back years imply roughly $10,000, $500 to $14,000, Disability Credit Canada, compared with 0 if she stops at the current year. The difference isn't a rounding error, it's a down payment. Her third discovery reassured her the number was real, not marketing. The refund is anchored to the CRA's 2025 adult disability amount of $10,138, CRA 2025, and the federal-provincial combination can raise the effective annual benefit. This is general information, not personal advice, but the base figure is a genuine CRA number, not something an advisor invented. Added up for Maya and the potential Back-Pay lands around $14,000, modeled on $1,500 to $2,000 per adult year across her 7 eligible back years, before provincial variation, author's estimate from CRA and Disability Credit Canada figures. That's the gap between filing 1 year and filing the whole window. So could this be you? You were approved for the DTC recently but only claimed the current year. You don't know how many prior years your impairment was medically certifiable. Or you simply haven't asked your accountant to revisit the older returns. If any of these land, the next part is exactly for you. These 3 moves matter because the credit is worth real money and none of it arrives unless you act. Apply, then request reassessment for every eligible year, then check for offsets. Done in order, they can turn a single credit into a 5-figure lump sum, and skipping any one of them is how families leave thousands behind. Move 1 is to apply properly. Get the medical practitioners section of the T22-1 Disability Tax Credit Certificate completed first, then submit it to the CRA claiming the DTC. Once you're approved, you can ask for prior year adjustments where eligible, and that approval is the key that unlocks the entire Back-Pay window. Here's how. Confirm the impairment meets the CRA's definition, have your doctor complete and certify the TU201, then submit it and wait for the decision. What good looks like is approval that lets you reassess up to 10 years where justified. Move 2 is where most of the money hides. Request reassessment for every eligible prior year, not just the approval year. Pull each prior return inside the 10-year window, identify the years your impairment existed and was medically certifiable, and file an adjustment request for each one, CRA, Swift Disability. The goal is simple, no eligible year left unamended. The steps: log into CRA My Account, pull each prior return in the 10-year lookback, mark the certifiable years and file an adjustment request, a T1 ADJ for each. What good looks like is every eligible year in the window amended, none skipped. Before I get to the last move, which is the most counterintuitive part of all this, and the one that saves people from a nasty surprise, this is the step that protects the money you just recovered. The CRA can automatically apply refunds and credits to any debts you owe, CRA, offsetting debt, so a big gross refund can shrink before it hits your account. Check first, so you're not blindsided. Do this. Review your CRA accounts for tax or government debts, estimate whether an offset will reduce the refund, and resolve or document the debt before you plan around the cash. What good looks like is knowing your net refund, not just the gross. If breakdowns like this are useful, subscribe. The next one's already coming. Why now? Through 2024, advisor guidance kept stressing that DTC claims can be amended back through prior years, Swift Disability. In 2025, the CRA set the adult disability amount at $10,138, CRA 2025. And into 2026, the CRA keeps routing applications through its online and mail review channels. The window and the amount are live right now, and any rule change would shrink what you can recover. After you act, verify it landed. You should see a DTC approval notice listing the eligible years. Confirm each amended year shows a reassessment in CRA My Account. And if a refund comes in smaller than expected, a check for a debt offset before you assume something went wrong. Everything here comes from the CRA's own DTC and debt offset pages, plus specialist analysis from St. Lawrence Lawyers and Disability Credit Canada. All the links are in the description so you can verify every figure yourself before you file. So today you learned how DTC Back-Pay can reach up to 10 years and the 3 moves to claim every dollar. Next, I'm covering the RRSP over-contribution penalty, the 1% monthly charge that quietly eats your refund without you ever seeing a warning. That penalty catches thousands of people who thought they were doing the responsible thing, and I'll show you how to spot and fix it fast. If you want to catch that breakdown, subscribe now so you don't miss it.